two, one. Hello, my friends. Welcome to another conversation that I'm having with Mr. Everett Overton, also known as Coach EO. Mutual fans. I've watched his channel for a while now. I think he has a lot to contribute to the men's community in general, and I even think women would benefit from the things that he teaches as well. So welcome to my show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to see you, George.
Yeah, man. Wow. First of all, congratulations is in order because you're going to be speaking at the 21 convention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
How do you feel about that?
I'm excited. Very excited. Preparing my speech. Pretty much. I think I've narrowed it down. How I want to do the speech, at least for the men. If I'm considered for the women's part, I'll have a speech prepared for that too. So, but no, it's going to be great to be with you. I've been watching you for some time. I watch you every day. I try to catch you early. I know you get up early. I get up pretty early too. I'm like an old man now. Yeah. I'm in bed by 10, and that's early for me at 40.
Yeah.
Whereas 10 years ago, or maybe even prior to that, it was like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., or sometimes not sleeping at all. So now I'm in bed early, up early, and then I look forward to your videos. So it's nice to actually have a conversation with you because I've been looking forward to it for about a year now.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think when I originally found you, I thought, well, here's some nice fresh material, and it was just different than all of the other stuff that was like what I would call the men's community kind of videos and shows and that kind of stuff. And what I saw was a authenticity, a joy, a guy who enjoyed life, who didn't carry bitterness around with him. I mean, there's no human being that is unscathed. Everybody's had hard times in their life, but not everybody wears them on their sleeve and wears those bad experiences on their face. So if you've had hard times, which everyone has had,
sure,
you certainly don't show it, and you do come from a place of joy, and I can tell that you enjoy life. So I feel your message is super important. Now, you're in Chicago, is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. We have I have a fan. I have several fans in Chicago. One of them is Tanisha, and she is in the hair industry. And I actually interviewed her, I think, probably about 2 months ago. And she was a female bodybuilder, and but not the muscle. Her goal was not to get huge like a man. I guess it was more like to look nice in a swimsuit. Those swimsuit.
Okay. Kind of like a fitness model
Yes.
kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And she's been following me for a while, and then I saw that she lives in Chicago. So a great gal. So I know I have a lot of fans in Chicago.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you're coming to the 21 convention. I think this is kind of cool. You're bringing a fresh vibe. You had a conversation with my brother Tony Bruno about a week ago. That went really well. You had a conversation with Anthony Johnson earlier today. That went extremely well.
Yes.
I think it's seriously one of the top 10 videos that Anthony Johnson has done. It was just authentic. I think there's not a man who will watch that conversation and not benefit from it. Every man will gain something from it, whether it be how to deal with his boss at work, because the principles of behavior with females really fit into a broader category of the proper principles of behavior with human beings, no matter who they are. And I think you have a nice grip on human behavior, and that's one of the things I like about you, is that it's not all about vagina. It's you talk about, like, the things that you talk about with how to be good with women really could be rebranded as how to be good with people.
Yes.
How to be good with people. I always say this. I've told guys for years, if you want to be good with women, be good with people.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I've actually made a video in the past. If you want to get better with cold approaching women, just talking to women in public, talk to everyone. Talk to the guy that opens your door, or let's say you're going into a hotel and you got the concierge or whatever. Treat him with respect. Treat the homeless man with respect. Treat the person serving you at McDonald's with respect, and aim to maybe put a smile on his or her face because they are dealing with a lot. Of course, that's their decision to work there, but that could be a stepping stone to a new thing in the future. So if you just get used to treating everyone with respect and you try to find a way to connect when you're out in public. See, when I go home, I'm an introvert. I'm actually an introverted person. I don't like people that much. I'll be completely honest with you. I like animals more than people. But I do realize that once I put myself into society, it's time to connect. Yes, if I'm gonna make money, if I'm gonna have romance, if I'm gonna make a friend like George Bruno, then I need to, personalize that experience. Create an energy between us. It doesn't have to be weird. You just find a way to connect with that person, whether it be compliment him on his nice beard. I mean, that was the first thing I noticed about you. So this guy's got one heck of a beard. If I see a guy that has a nice truck, I'll say, hey man, that's a nice truck you got there. Who doesn't want to be complimented on their truck? I used to carry around a lighter, even when I wasn't smoking, just to light someone else's cigarette. Hey, I got that for you, man. And I just being generous and being friendly. Did I always want to do it? Not always, but I knew the big picture. I may not want to do it. Most of the time I did, but there were times I didn't. But I was thinking ahead. This could be a potential networking opportunity. I could make money with this person. We can go into business together. I could have a romantic encounter with this person. So it's just connecting with everyone that's important. And then you'll notice, because I said romance all of life, that's something that I talked about in a recent video too. Just romance all of life. And then when you romance a woman, it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, women are part of life. Women are people. So when you're good with people, you will be automatically good with women. I notice a lot of guys that are considered to be authorities in the whole intersexual dynamic, whatever you want to call that phrase, are very uncomfortable with life in general and in public and in everyday things. And they tend to self-isolate, over-intellectualize, and overthink things. And when you overthink things, I remember back in the 70s when disco was in, I would go out with 3 or 4 guys and we would go to this one disco in Saratoga, New York. And I'll never forget, there was a woman that I wanted to meet. And I said to one of them, I said, wow, look at her. I'd really love to meet her. And I was a little bit nervous, young guy. And he says, well, go do it. And I said, well, what should I say? And his answer literally has helped me for over 40 years. His answer was, say hey.
Yeah.
I said, what? And he goes, just go up and say hey. What's up?
Right.
And I'll never forget I did that. And we had a nice time. I ended up dancing with the girl all night long, and it was kind of fun.
You know what's interesting about that, George? I think guys are afraid to talk to women because they're afraid that she might say hello back, and now he has to talk. Now he's afraid she'll actually like him, that she'll want to talk to him. So I don't think it's so much that the women are so bad. I just think that the men are so scared. You know what I mean? It's like you're just so scared that she's gonna go, oh hey, what's going on? And you're like, so you don't know what you're gonna say next. So that's the thing that guys need to work on is if you can't hate women if you want to be good with women. You have to get out there and be social. And
let me say that. Wait, say that again. You can't hate women if you want to be good with women.
Right.
Wow. Simple but very profound.
Yeah. I mean, even like people who hate animals, it's just like I love animals. I mean, I love observing them. I love watching them live, even if they're not doing anything. I love the fact that they don't need to be doing stuff sometimes. It teaches me to be a more present man by observing a cat or being around a dog, or watching a bird soar in the sky. Like those are my joys in life. Is just watching a hawk or a bird just do its thing. And then while we're over here thinking of all this stuff that we got to do, and we really at the end of the day don't have to do too much. Just be happy. I mean, things will happen. You'll make things happen, but you just got to enjoy the moment. And so that I'm doing that better than ever these days, George.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Loving life, it shows, and people pick up on that.
Yeah. Sometimes I play the part of an antagonist with my audience just to get them thinking. So,
Yes.
there's times where I go into a character. It's not, it's an extension of me, but it's not the real me. Like it's part of me, but it's not this guy you're talking to right now. But I do see, like, in order to get this person to think for him or herself, I have to antagonize her. I have to make fun of them in a way, kind of like, challenge them, challenge their ego, just to get them thinking again. Maybe even an original thought, if there's a such thing. But part of my technique with my coaching is to antagonize purposefully. And so I talk about that in the book coming out, titled "Cut the Bullshit." The actual book is called "Cut the Bullshit." So thank you, and I detail that that sometimes I need to break through that character, that societal character, or the synthetic layers that people compound themselves with, just to kind of get to the real them. So sometimes I gotta bash them over the head, and you might watch a video of mine and be like, boy, this guy sounds angry. Well, I'm intentionally being angry, just to get them thinking.
It's called being provocative.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget. A speaker came to my church one time. This is many, many years ago, decades ago, and he said, 40,000 children died today of hunger, starvation, and you don't give a shit. He said this in church.
Nice.
And he said, and you are probably more upset that I said the word shit than you are at the fact that 40,000 children starved to death.
Yeah.
He says, we need to change our priorities. Now, that was provocative. That was very provocative. So that is actually a very effective method of communication. Mm-hmm. You don't always stroke your audience. Sometimes you provoke them.
Yes.
Because people don't know what to feel. I want to see people move as a result of my communication. I like it when someone's hand goes into a fist. That means I moved them. I provoked them. Something's coming out of them that has been sitting there. I like that.
Yes.
When people poke fun at somebody or cast insults, 9 times out of 10 they're projecting. Let's get real. And I think that is our job. How can you, if you don't provoke people, you're the invisible man.
Correct. Yes.
Nobody knows that you live. No one knows that you're around. So I think what you're doing is good, and it's a great communication technique.
Yes. I've coined the phrase "it begins and ends with a man," but it also can begin and end with a woman too. Like, it's you, whoever you are, whoever listens to it. I've never been of the habit of pointing the finger. It just never felt right to me to say, oh, he's to blame, or she's to blame, or life sucks, or life isn't fair. I mean, sure, are there some things about life that if I wrote this story, or if I had any control, if I was God or whatever, would I have maybe, I don't know. Maybe I would have made some tweaks, maybe not. Maybe it's perfect. Maybe it's perfect. It's just my perspective at this time. But I think holding yourself accountable for all your mistakes, if a relationship ends, George, the first thing I think is, what did I do to fuck this up? Was I too much? Did I turn into a bitch? Was I a man at first, and did I turn into a bitch? Did I get too needy? Did I over pursue? A lot of guys might say, well, isn't that manipulation? Isn't that a game? I mean, why can't you just be real with people? I mean, you can be real, but you have to understand the dynamics between a female and a man. Like there's different energy, different emotions, and you have to make sure that you operate those things with great balance. Yes, so, I can't tell a woman I love her 10 times in a day. I can tell her once and then show her in 9 ways how much I love her. So, I could, say it once, demonstrate it 9 times. So, but it begins and ends with you always, and that's just something I want my men and maybe some of your audience, if they're feeling this, it's time to look at yourself in the mirror. The clock is ticking. You don't have a lot of time left. We think we have a lot of time, and the truth is we don't know how much time we have. If this is the last conversation I have on earth, I'm happy to say I'm having it with George Bruno.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you're going to blink your eyes and you're going to have white hair. I look at myself literally in the mirror sometimes and I think, who is that old guy? I honestly do. I look at and I say, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm
And I'm
gonna.
getting it now. I mean, you can't see it. Maybe if I come in
I
close.
can see it. I can
Yeah,
see
yeah.
it. Yeah, I can
My
see it.
chest hair is turning gray.
I see that already. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
The pubes aren't yet, thank God, but I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
Yeah. Well, when you hit 50, man, it all just pops. It's
Sure.
crazy. So
Sure.
give it about 10 years or so. But I was lining up a conversation that I'm going to have with a gal that I know who's a model and an actress, another one, and I haven't seen her in a long time. And the last time she saw me, I think I had dark hair, like dark hair like you.
Sure.
So when I finally Skype her, she's I just can imagine what she's going to be like. Whoa, like wow, like
She's gonna love you more.
yeah, it very well could be. Very well could be.
Because you keep in good shape. You keep
Yes.
yourself in good shape, and that matters
Yeah.
a lot. That matters. If you're gray and fat, you're fucked.
Oh, totally.
If you're gray and fit, you're in good shape.
Yeah. Well, what's going to happen is you end up aging really fast. I mean, it might take years, but literally those years will seem like a week to you. It's like my brother Tony. I was telling you, like he acts like a guy Tony acts like a guy who's 6'6", and everybody knows he's not 6'6".
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know that. His confidence. He has a tall man, big man confidence.
They call that big dick energy now.
He's
He has big dick energy.
and
Yeah.
he's got that. It's amazing. You can't tell him that he doesn't have it. He won't believe you.
Good. Yeah, I've talked to your brother on the phone several times, and I've always enjoyed my conversations with him. Very candid talks, and yeah, I got that vibe too. He's a straight shooter.
Yep.
He's not gonna bullshit with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he respects about me too, and that's why
Yeah.
he's
I know
attracted
the
to me.
audience. I know the men's audience there, and I know what they want. I know what they're sick of, and I know what they're going to be excited about. We had a guy last October, Stefan Arnio, who passed away probably 2 months ago with cancer. It was amazing. But he was different. And he got on stage and he just it he didn't check all the effective communication points. He didn't speak like properly.
Sure.
He got up there and told the truth,
Yeah.
and your jaw dropped
Yeah.
as he walked back and forth on the stage.
Yeah.
And it was the truth that touched people. It wasn't his method. It wasn't some carefully crafted kind of speech.
Right.
It was the truth that just went right to you.
Yeah.
And-
Respect to him. I know he passed, and it was when I heard that, I said, "Wow, what a young guy!" And
Yeah.
and like I said, the clock is ticking. You just never know. You just never know, which is why you should pursue your dreams. If you want, anything you want to do, pursue it. I don't want to get too far off topic, but when I heard of him passing, and I didn't know him, and you sent me a link to him to watch it, I did watch it. I was very impressed, and I gained a lot of respect for him, and that will be my presentation. Just truth, raw truth. Let's get to the point. Hopefully I add something that weekend that they can start doing that day. Just start doing it that day. I mean, you don't even have to wait to go home. I mean, you can start doing it right now. And that's what I'm gonna do. And so yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's interesting. The conference is in a big, giant meeting room, a ballroom during the day, and then there's little breakaway groups that are in the side rooms, whatever. And then at night, everyone's hanging out at the bar or at the pool. So everyone's like in bathing suits and hanging out and smoking cigars and drinking and just diving into the pool, hanging out. It's just a fun time. People, small little groups will go here or go there. Some guys will go to this kind of bar. Some guys will go to that bar. Some guys will stay at the hotel and just chill.
Yeah.
It's really interesting weekend. But I think I said this earlier in the week on my show that the truth is what sets you free, but it will offend you first.
Yes.
The truth will rub you the wrong way first before it sets you free. The truth is sometimes very uncomfortable.
I watched that video and I said, damn, he told the truth there. That was the truth in and of itself. And I was very impressed by that line because it does offend. It stings a minute. And but if you stick with it, it's very refreshing. And the truth can make you cry. The truth should make you smile at some point.
Yeah, it eventually does. It's interesting. I'm the kind of guy that I like wearing sport coats. I'm not really a tie guy unless I'm in the corporate world, but I like wearing an open collar, dress shirt, 2 or 3 buttons open, sport coat, and that's kind of like my uniform.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I was talking about how to have this was actually in Poland. Always have a navy blue sport coat in your car. Microfiber, because microfiber, you can roll it up in a ball and then shake it, and there's no wrinkles in it. Any other fabric, wrinkles, you got to steam it and the whole bit. That's why I like microfiber. And I said I could be somewhere wearing like jeans and a polo shirt, but if I put on that blue sport coat, it just elevates me. If someone says, "Hey, there's a business card exchange, there's a business meeting, you can meet a lot of people tonight at 6 o'clock, at work at such and such a hotel or a restaurant," and I'd be like, and I remember at one time I used to be like, "Oh crap, I have to go home first and change and whatever." No more. I just keep the sport coat in the truck, throw the sport coat on, it elevates the look just like that. And I was telling that story. By the end of that day, and this was at the 21 convention in Poland, in Warsaw, 3 guys, including Richard Grannon, one of our speakers, went out and bought a sport coat.
Nice.
And rocked it that night at our dinner that we all had together.
Right.
And instantly, the t-shirt guys, even if you're just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, you put on a sport coat, elevates you, just instantly elevates you. Talk to my audience about fashion, appearance, and why is it important, not just with women, but in life? Tell us about that.
Yeah, like you said, it just makes you behave. First, it makes you feel different. Then you behave different. So if you just had some blue jeans on and a white Henley or a white shirt, you throw on that navy blazer, you feel different. You're ready. You're ready to go into a restaurant. Some restaurants won't even let you in unless you have a jacket on. So and that tells you something. What they're trying to attract. The kind of behavior they want going on in here. The sophistication level that they want to attract. So, yeah, I always say you should have a look for every occasion. Date night, throw on a blazer with a V-neck and some nice slim fit jeans, not too tight, but nice form fitting, good fragrance, good haircut. Go see George Bruno for that haircut. And haircut's so important. I mean, I feel like $1 million, with a fresh haircut and a nice groomed beard. If I don't have a haircut, I actually feel different. And a lot of people might say, well, why does that affect how you feel? Well, it does. Like, just something happens when I get a haircut. I feel like I'm ready to go. It's psychological, it's mental, of course, but that's not to say I couldn't make something happen if I had a 7-day haircut. But if I have a fresh haircut, boy, there's no stopping me. It's just how I feel. And so these things are good for men. How you present yourself to the world. If you're walking around out of shape, baggy clothing, it doesn't fit. You could be a guy with great ideas and be a fantastic lover, but no one's going to know because they're going to look at you and just bypass you. So it's part of your game. And I know, the word game, it's misconstrued, but game is just your method for success. That's all it is. It's just your method for success. We call it game because it's recognized in the manosphere, but it's just your method for success. So how you present yourself is crucial. Like I said, the first time I saw you, George, I'm like, wow, that's one heck of a beard, and I was impressed by it. So I said, let me see what this guy's all about. But had you not had the beard, maybe if you, I don't know, had big yellow teeth and I don't know, you weren't as gentlemanly. See, you're a gentleman with swag, which is what I am. So that's why I'm attracted to you. I'm a guy that can be very refined if need be, but also very laid back and can hang out with the fellas and chop game and talk about women and have locker room talk. And I'm going to feel perfectly, in place. And that's what guys should strive for, to be well balanced and to have a look for every occasion. And I do help my clients with that. I want them to have an athletic look. I want them to have a boardroom look. I want them to have a date night look. I want them to have a funeral suit. You're going to go to a funeral at some point. You don't want to have to run out and buy that. You want to have that, the navy blue suit, maybe the gray suit, and just knowing what to wear. Like when you see me at the 21 convention, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, you're dressing for success. I know in my generation, there was a book that came out, I believe it was in the mid-'70s, called Dress for Success. Mm-hmm. And the book has been put out many times after it had been edited and revised and so forth because styles have changed. But he was his name. I think his name was John Malloy, and he was one of the first ones that actually looked at how he almost created a science out of how we look, and he bridged the gap. He connected the dots between how a person looks and their success, and he showed how that they go side by side.
Yeah. There's one thing I want to tell the guys that can't grow a beard. Like, don't feel bad you can't grow a beard. I mean, if I couldn't grow a beard, I would have phenomenal skincare routine. I would have glowing skin, which I, to some degree have now. I do like to go in the sun. For you guys that think I'm too dark, this guy's too dark. I like the sun. I've always liked the sun.
I do too.
And I'm always gonna like the sun. I'm friends with the sun. But even if I couldn't grow a beard, I tell guys, get facials. Take care of your skin. You only have one face. It's not feminine to take care of your face. Right. So take care of. You only have one face. Your hands. Take care of your hands. Protect yourself. Work on your body. You don't have to be super fit, but just care about your fitness.
Yeah.
And just be a good man, and be an authentic man. That's what I tell. If you work out and buy a Corvette and you do all that other stuff, but deep down you're a hurt man that's blaming the world for everything, you're gonna be alone.
Yeah.
Even right. I said this during a broadcast today. I said anyone can be a man for a night, but can you be a man for a lifetime?
Right. I like that.
People went silent when I said that, so I'll probably put that on a T-shirt at some point. But anyone can be a woman for a night, but can you be a supportive, feminine woman who's who enjoys the company of a man for a lifetime, and then your wife quality at that point.
Yeah, I have a friend, Stacy, and she has a Pilates studio. And one of her things, she always teaches women that your body is meant to last a lifetime. It's not meant to just look good in your younger formative years and then you hit the wall and then you're ugly until you die. You can have a level of handsomeness and a level of beauty, because I do have female audience members that are going to be watching this. You can be beautiful and handsome at any age. Beauty and being handsome is not just for the young. It's not just for people in their 20s and 30s and going into your 40s. And I think the wall is here.
Yes, it is.
And it works its way outside. If your attitude is, like I've always said this, if you don't care about you, don't expect me to care about you.
Exactly. Yep. It also, like, handsomeness and, a woman's beauty is not just her looks, it's her ways. It's her walk. Is she graceful? Is how she puts her hair behind her ear? Is it feminine? And her posturing, and how she looks at you when you're talking to her, and how she responds. Like, that's what makes you beautiful. It's not so much your ass and your fucking legs and all. I mean, yeah, that matters, but at some point, how many times can I wrap a woman's legs behind my back? At some point, I have to like you as a human. I have to like being with you. And the same thing for a man. Your walk, your decisiveness, your readiness to act, and your mindset, and you don't get easily perturbed. And we're human. So, I'm not trying to sit here like I'm some perfect man, because I'm far from it, but I'm perfecting myself every day, and learning to be slow to anger, be more understanding, try to put myself in another person's shoes before I place very heavy judgment. That's one way I've actually been able to forgive. Like, even my father, if you don't mind me telling this quick story. My dad died when he was 46 and I was 3. Well, when my mother became pregnant, she told him, and he said, well, I don't think it's a good idea that we have this baby. For one, it wasn't planned. He already had 7 kids, 4 from a previous wife, or he had 6. He may have had others. He was a womanizer. He was an alcoholic. But aside from those behaviors, I was told he was a good man. He was a strong man. So he told my mother, he said, I don't think we should have this kid. I'm pretty much on my way out. I'm sick. So she contemplated it, and her sister talked her into having the baby. And now you have Coach EO. But I instead of saying, like Kanye West, for example. Kanye West is on stage right now crying about the fact that his dad wanted to have an abortion and that my mother took me, it was my mother that saved me. I look at it like this. can I see for a minute how my dad was looking at it? You know, had 6 kids already, didn't plan me, an alcoholic, dying. Should you bring another kid into the world? Probably not. Maybe not. You know, like, so was he thinking like, oh, I don't want to have that boy? No, he was just maybe using logic in that moment and just kind of thought like, hey, I'm not going to be here. You're going to have another kid to take care of without me. You know, and so I don't blame him for it. I mean, am I happy my mom stayed the course? Yes, she has my respect. But he also has my respect too, because I think he was thinking logically in that moment. So for me to forgive him, which I never really had to forgive him because I never held anything against him for that. In order to forgive and to have peace, you have to try to look at it from their vantage point. The series of events that took place in their life leading up to that one decision, you're so hung up on the decision. What about everything they experienced leading up to that one moment and they made that choice?
Yeah.
When you think like that, you're more forgiving. At least I am. And I think if more human beings thought this way and just got out of the mirror for once. You can go back to the mirror. Sometimes get out of it, though.
Yeah, I like that. That's good advice. One of my favorite writers, Rick Bragg, he's written many books. He's a Southern guy, and he wrote for Southern Living magazine. And in the South, that's a whole thing all to himself. You know, it's the South is like a different country, the old deep South.
Yeah.
And his father split, and apparently was a pretty dastardly fellow when he was a very young man, and he never heard anything good about his dad, even from his mother. And he said a point in his own maturity, he got more mature when he decided to search for people who could say something good about his father, because he never heard anything good. So that was his journey as an adult man who was getting gray hair and getting older. He says, I just want to find someone who can say something good about my dad. And he found like an old librarian that said, oh, your dad was the funniest guy. He always made us laugh. The guy that pumps gas at the gas station, he goes, your dad would help anybody. If someone's car broke down, he'd be right there helping them. And he's learning all these neat things about his dad that he never knew. Right. He thought his dad was the devil.
Yeah.
So that was one of his journeys to freedom, was to find somebody who could say something good about his father. And he made peace with his dad as a result of that.
Yeah, good. You know, I had to force my mom to tell me good things about my dad. Because I told her, I said, hey, I talk to my mom like a regular person. I mean, you know, some people, if you heard me talking to my mom, you'd be like, is he talking to his mom? Like you wouldn't know, because I don't pedestalize even my mother. Yeah. If you're going to be a good human being, you get my respect. If you're not going to be a good human being, you know, you won't get my respect. And that goes for my mother, my brother, my sister, whomever. So I remember I told my mom, I said, hey, listen, you married the motherfucker, didn't you? And she was like, yes. I said, so you liked something about him, didn't you? And she said, yeah. I said, well, tell me that shit.
Yeah. Wow.
And then she goes, well, and then she went on. She said, well, he was very generous, and you know, he was very manly. If people were afraid of your father. And I'm just like, okay, now I see where I get it, you know, but I had to call her out. Hey, yo, enough of the bullshit. What'd you like about him, motherfucker? Because you married him, right. you fucked him.
Yes.
You know, you had 3 kids with him. So tell me that shit. You know, like, and I could see the respect in my mother's eyes grow when I said that. It was like she wanted me to say that.
Yeah. I think that was good for her, for you to say that.
Yes.
There was a role reversal at that point. You became the parent at that moment right there, and was teaching her how to release some of her bitterness, probably.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. Yep. It was cool. And I continually talk to her that way. You know, I'm very much like a role model to her, because although she may be greater in age, I've lived something she hasn't lived. You know, she's been married. Oh, I think I lost you there. Let me see if I can come back. Oh, do you see me?
Nope.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
There I go. I'm back.
There you are.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I hit something there because it had went black. But no, in many ways, I do serve as an educator for my mother. You know, she's still learning new things. Believe it, she's 71, but she's very strong mentally. Very strong mentally. And I'm proud of her in a lot of ways. I've had to challenge her, though. I've had to challenge that woman in so many ways. I've even had to help her be a better role model for my sister. And I said, yo, you guys complain too much. We got to get solution-based in this family. You know, I told her, I said, I don't want to hear about none of those problems. Do not call me with this drama. I will. hey, I'm solution based. You have an issue. You think I could help you with it? Call me. Let me know what it is. I'll help you with it. But to sit here and talk about all this, no, absolutely not. It makes them better when you do that.
Yeah.
The people around you. You just got to get away from the nonsense. Let's forget about the drama. Let's forget about the hate. Let's forget about the jealousy, the trivial things, and let's be happy people. Let's get some solutions done in our problem areas. So
they will thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. They don't always like me though, George. I know this for a fact. My family, they don't always like me, but you know what? I don't need them to like me. If I said one thing and it helped them make a new choice, and that choice benefits their life, my job is done.
Right. That's true. I'll never forget, I had a fella, I used to go to a lot of networking meetings. I went to an entrepreneur's meetup once a month. I might have said this story during my morning show. And at this meeting once a month, it would be about 30 to 40 people sitting in a big circle in a big room, and we'd go around and introduce ourselves. And this was many years ago, right after I was divorced. And I used to say, my name is George Bruno, I'm divorced, I work in this industry, blah, blah, blah. And after several months, the facilitator of that group pulled me aside at the end of the night as to not embarrass me. But he says, I have a question to ask you. He says, why do you always refer to yourself as a divorced guy? And I said, boy, good question.
Yeah.
And he says, in the future, he says, I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything. He says, but in the future, he goes, what if you just said, hi, my name is George Bruno? And then talk about your industry. Leave the divorce thing out of it. And the next month, I remember introducing myself to the 30 or 40 people, and I glanced over at him, and he just looked at me and went like that, just gave me a little nod. And I could have been offended at him saying that to me, like, hey, wait a minute, how dare you? Like, I'm offended that you're trying to, criticize the way that I introduced myself. He suggested it. It was reasonable, and the outcome has been magnificent. I no longer identified as a divorced guy. So when I'm filling out applications and things, they have single, married, divorced, like whatever. I put single now.
Yeah.
I never put divorced. Like, why is divorced even there?
Right.
Like when you got to, I don't get that. So I'm a single guy. I check off single. So that little encounter with him over a period of several months changed my life. Imagine what kind of influence you have on people that you are exposed to on a regular basis, and not just a few encounters, but on a regular basis, you can change people's lives with your words.
Very true. It's very true. And I get emails all the time from guys that don't even comment, that I've never even met, in the comment section. And one's in Australia, another one's in Africa, one is here in the States, and just thanking me for, just doing what I'm doing. It's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. So yeah, I love the way you introduce yourself. Like I every time you introduce yourself, I'm like, that man knows how to introduce himself. So, congratulations to you and the guy who gave you that advice. He really helped you.
Yeah. Let's shift gears. Sure. I have women in my audience, and they're very vocal, or I should say, they love typing comments to my show and my videos and so forth. A lot of people are going to think that this conversation is by men for men. I like to think that it's by men for people. Let's talk. I really want to see you at the 22 convention. I think it would be wonderful to have you on the stage there. If you could talk to the women in my audience, what would you say?
Women are not, in my experience and from my observations, women do not handle the truth well. They don't. They deflect a lot. They don't hold themselves accountable. And I'm saying this confidently. Like, I'm not saying it to bruise their egos or to make fun of them. They don't do it. They just don't do it. Now, whether they weren't held accountable or forced to hold themselves accountable, there's probably a lot of truth to that. Society has really conformed women in a terrible way in some ways, just through marketing and consumerism and, keeping up with the Joneses and having to be so beautiful all the time. And, women are, they don't know who they are. Like, I just don't get a sense when I'm talking to a woman, like, are you here or who am I talking to right now? And then I have to go further. I have to penetrate those layers to try to get to that real woman in there, that real soul in there. And I just feel like women need to speak to men more authentically, openly. This is why a lot of women say, "Well, I'm more friends with men than women." Sometimes some women do appreciate a man's perspective. Like I could imagine if a woman is talking to you, she's going to get a lot out of that conversation because you're going to be honest with her. You're probably going to push a few buttons, which is going to be healthy for her to do some self-examining. And I just feel like women need to take an honest look in the mirror and decide who they want to be. And by the way I'm living and the things I'm doing on a daily basis, will that produce the outcome I really want? And I just don't think women know what they want. I think it's like a crash when they get to like mid 30s, 40s. They're like, wow, I wasted a lot of time. Yeah, I had a lot of fun, but I don't have anything to show for it. And unfortunately, once you get to that age, men are looks driven most of the time, and they're going to look at you and just go like, what have you been doing all this time? What have you been doing all this time? That's the first thing I think about when I see a woman who's about 35, between 35 and 45, just alone. I'm like, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? And so that's my question to the women that are watching. What are you doing? What are you being out here? And if you don't like your results, it's time to do an analysis and maybe make some big changes. And I think if you find a guy like George Bruno to mentor you, perhaps myself, you're going to get the truth. And as long as you're willing to do the work and face the truth, which is going to be real hard, if you can do that, your future is bright. And so if I were to speak at the 22 convention, I'm going to be calling these women out, and they're going to feel very uncomfortable. But they're going to know I'm doing this with care and love because I want them to have a bright future. A lot of these women are going to be lost without a husband. They're going to be lost, man. I mean, what are you going to do when you're 50 and you don't have anybody, to not just to maintain a house, but that's important. Like what are you going to do if the roof is leaking? I mean, yeah, you can call somebody, but we live in a crazy world. What if somebody breaks in the house? What if somebody breaks in? Now you're potentially raped or murdered or killed or robbed or whatever. So, and it's just having a companion. I don't want to see women at 50 years old be like, wow, I wasted my life away on bars and dicks and, how do I phrase this, but just meaningless acts.
Yeah.
So that's what I would tell your audience. What are you doing? What are you being? Let's get real, that's what I would say. As for right now, I would say, but the campaign for the 22 convention is make women great again. But I said this to Anthony earlier, who I had a very pleasant conversation with and enjoyed it thoroughly. We can't help women get great again unless we, the men, get great again.
Yeah. And
you gotta look at yourself, men. If you want women to behave different out here, you have to behave different. It starts with you. And that could take, I can unpack that for 10 hours. But as for right now, men have to hold themselves accountable, and then they also have to hold women accountable too.
Yeah. Early in this statement, you said a magic word. My ears always perk up when I hear the word penetrate. And a dick can penetrate a woman, but the truth penetrates her soul.
Absolutely.
And I want men to penetrate the soul of a woman.
Yes.
As opposed to just appeal to them in the flesh. And the truth, like I said earlier in the week, always offends at first, but then it eventually sets you free.
Yes.
So telling people the truth about themselves and about life and about how they're living is going to be offensive at first. I mean, my thoughts are you could end up being one of the most hated people on stage at the 22 convention. By the end of that speech, you might be the most loved person on that stage.
Yeah, and I might even be the most hated at the 21 because the way I come at the men is going to be no different. As a matter of fact, I might even come harder at the men because it begins and ends with the man, and we need to be leaders out here. So I might even come harder at the men. And a lot of men don't like me anyway. Maybe it's my look. Maybe it's the way I talk. Maybe it's my mannerisms. Maybe it's everything. I don't know. Or maybe it's just the truth. It's just that constant just digging the truth. and I'm not gonna stop. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this for a nice run. And I got some books coming out. The book is gonna be uncomfortable too. I just want you to know, the book will be uncomfortable, but those that are ready will smile a lot and go like this. And then those that are not ready will probably close it after a few pages. And so, but hopefully you come back to it, because again, the truth is gonna sting for a minute. But once you hear the truth, you can't pretend you didn't hear it. It'll haunt you. The truth will haunt you. Once you hear it, that's why people are afraid to go to church. I'm not saying church is perfect. I'm not. But there's an element of fear. If I hear that,
Yeah.
I can't pretend I didn't hear it. And that means I got to change.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want to go. So that's why some people don't want to hear me also, and you and guys like us, is because we're speaking the truth. And it can be scary. But if you can keep going into the truth, like you said, it'll set you free. You'll be a happier person. I'm telling you, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I used to be a binge drinker. That's not to say I'm not going to have a beer with you. Hell yeah, I'm going to have a beer with you. But I'm not going to be excessive. I have a grip on it. But I used to be totally out of control with alcohol. And part of that was I wasn't accepting myself. I was living a lie. I was lying to women. I was lying to myself. I was I was having all this sex, but none of it was happy sex.
Yeah.
None of it was. Very, very little of it. Because I was fucking in the dark. Now I fuck with the drapes open. And it feels much better.
Yeah. Yeah. Living a life of fuckery never really works.
No.
It really doesn't.
No.
Yeah. Well, penetrating souls with Coach EO. What a great conversation. How can people find out more about you?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me again. I've looked forward to this for about a year or more, and I'm very thankful for it. My channel is Coach EO, Mr. Champion Game. So you can find me at Coach EO on YouTube. I have a website, teamchampiongame.com, where you can learn a little bit more about me, maybe perhaps entertain the idea of a coaching session. I'm on Instagram too. It's kind of a new endeavor, but you got to do the social media thing if you want to be successful in today's world. So it's Coach EO _champion game. You can find me there. But excuse me, I have a book coming out. It should be out the middle of September. I shoot it for October 1st. Ironically, the date of the book that I originally had was October 1st, and that's when the convention starts. So,
yeah.
So it'll be out before then. Title: Cut the Bullshit, and hope it helps.
Love it. Love it. Hey, well, thanks for having a conversation with me today, and I hope my audience looks at more of what you have to offer. I think your YouTube channel really can help a lot of people. I think that's super important to get to know you. I think you also did a conversation with my brother Tony Bruno on his channel, and you did a conversation with Anthony Johnson this morning at the, I believe it was the 21 Convention YouTube channel as well, and Redman Group YouTube channel. And you're the kind of guy, no one can ever say, oh, I saw him speak once, because your talk with Tony Bruno and your talk with Anthony Johnson were completely different, and your talk with me is different. Yeah. You're a man that's multifaceted. You're not a one-trick pony. And I would encourage anyone else who is watching this, if you have a channel or a platform, to reach out to Coach EO at his information that he gave. Thank you so much, Coach. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to meeting you in person, and I'm always here for you.
Thank you, Coach Bruno. Likewise. Thank